Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at transformations of some quadratics. So we're going to look at quadratics first of all in the form y equals ax squared. So we've taken this standard y equals x squared and we put an a value in front of it, and it's just can be any number. So first of all, if a is less than 0, so in other words, if we have a negative number in front of the x squared, even if that number is 1 and it's just a negative, then the parabola is flipped in the x-axis. Flipped in the x-axis. Okay, so just going to open down, in other words. If we have an a value that's greater than 1, okay, then the parabola is stretched. Okay, and it's going to be described by a factor a. So if there's a 2, we say it's stretched by a factor of 2. If the parabola, if the a value is between 0 and 1, so in other words, if it's a fraction or decimal, then the parabola is going to be compressed. Okay, so it's going to get squished down. It's going to get fatter. Okay, and again, we're just going to say it's described by a factor of a. So if that's the case, you just say it's been compressed by a factor of whatever that a value is. So for example, we're going to look at these first two here, and we're just going to sketch the graph. So first of all, this one here, so we got a positive 3 in front. So first of all, we can say that this is stretched by 3. That's all we say. We say it's stretched by 3. So to begin with, I'm just going to do this lightly. I'm going to use the yellow, see how that works. So we would take our normal parabola here, and you only have to plot a couple points here, but let's say it looks like that. That would be what we started with. Okay? But now what we're going to do is we're going to stretch that by 3. So we're still going to have our vertex right there, but instead of going over 1 up 1, it's going to go over 1 up 3. Instead of going over 2 up 4, it's going to go all the way up to 12, which isn't even going to fit on this, I don't think. So, no, it's not. It's going to be up here somewhere. So anyway, so it'll go, and you can see it's been stretched out and made way, way skinnier. Okay, so there we go. And then we just label that as y equals 3x squared. Okay. So let's take a look at this next one, which is slightly more complicated. So to begin with, we've got a negative 1/4 in front of the x. So the fact that it's a negative means that it is flipped. And you don't have to say in the x-axis every time. It's always flipped in the x-axis. If you flip a parabola on the y-axis, it's not going to make a difference because it's symmetric. So we flip it in the x-axis, okay, or you could just say flipped, and then we'll say that it's compressed by 1/4. Okay, compressed by 1/4. So in other words, so again, just in yellow, I'm just going to lightly do the initial parabola here. Okay, and since it'll fit, I'm going to do this one too. So there's our initial parabola. That's just y equals x squared. Okay, and so now I'm going to apply my transformation. So to begin with, it's going to flip, and second of all, it's going to get compressed by 1/4. So we're going to go over 1 and up 1/4. Now this is not an exact science. You're going to be ballparking a little bit. Okay, and then we would go over 2 and up 4. So instead, we're going to go up just 1. Okay, you divide that by 4. Okay, and then we go up 3 up 9. So we're going to compress that by 4, and we'll get something around there. Okay, and that's enough that we can just then draw it like that. And then we'll label it. We'll say y equals, whoops, forgot my negative 1/4 x squared. And that's it. Okay, so you can see it's been smushed right down. It's been compressed vertically. Okay. So the point 6, -18 is on the graph of the function ax squared, and we're going to find the value of a. And this is a fun little, I'm sure you think it's fun. Not really. But this is a fun little algebra one that we can do. And so you're always just going to start, if we know it like this, we start with our y equals ax squared, and we're just going to sub in the values that we know. So we have y is 18, or negative 18, and our x is equal to 6. So we have 6 squared. So when we say 6 squared is 36. Okay. Like that. And then to get the a by itself, we would just divide both sides by 36. And we get a is equal to negative 1 over 2. So therefore, y equals negative 1/2 x squared. So there you go. Okay, let's move on to some different transformations here. We're going to talk about the shifts. So, now it's going to look like this. We've added this minus h. Okay, we got this minus h here. We got this plus k here. All right, the a is still there, but we're not going to talk about it for a second. And we're going to focus on the h and the k. So if we have a positive h value, first of all, it's notable that if we have a positive h value, then there's going to be a negative here. So we're talking about there's a negative in there, okay? That's important because this is what people get mixed up all the time because it's kind of backwards to what you think. But if it's a positive h, it means there's a minus in there. And that means the parabola is shifted to the right. Okay, so if it says minus 2 in there, it goes to the right 2. If h is less than 0, then that means there's actually going to be a positive in between right in there. Okay, that's going to be positive if h is less than 0. Okay, because you'll have a negative negative. Okay, and if that's the case, then it's just, whoops, shifted to the left. Okay, so if there's a positive, it's shifted to the left. Okay, a little bit more easy because it makes more sense is if k, which is the number at the very end there, is positive. It's greater than 0, so it's positive. The parabola is shifted up. And finally, if we subtract the k value, so we've got a negative k value there, it's going to be shifted down. All right. So there we go. So let's just try a couple here. So first of all, we're going to describe what happens, and then we're going to write the vertex, and then we're going to draw it. Okay? So, first of all, sorry, I can't get it to line up. There we go. Okay, so we've got x minus 7, all in brackets, and then squared. So, we've got a minus in there, a minus in there, so it's going to do the opposite of what you think. Sometimes we call that the wacky bracky rule. Inside the brackets, it does the opposite of what you think. And so because that's a minus, we're going to go to the right by 7. So we'll go to the right 7. And so what this does is this moves our vertex, which remember our vertex starts at 0, 0. It's going to move to the right 7, so it's going to be 7, 0. Okay? And then for part 3, we're just going to draw it on the graph. Okay, so it's going to start there. There's our vertex. It's been moved over to the right. Okay? And we go over 1 up 1, over 2 up 4, and there we go. And so that is y equals x minus 7 squared. All right? So now we'll do one where there's no brackets here. So it's just x squared minus 5. So first of all, if I can get this to line up again, we're going to move this one. Oh. There we go. We're going to move this one down 5. Down 5. Okay, remember if it's after the squared, it's going to be an up or a down. And this is the one that makes a lot more sense than the other one. So we're just going to zoom in there so we can do our negative 5 there. Okay. And so you can see we've just moved that parabola down 5. So that's y equals x squared. Don't forget to I'm labeling all my equations here. Remember, that's important. That'll get you some freebie communication marks. Oh, you know what I forgot to do is I forgot to write out what the vertex was. And because it was shifted down, the x stayed the same, but the y went to -5. Okay, remember the vertex being, I should have clarified this, but the vertex being this point right here, right at the tip there. Okay, that's the one. You can kind of see that right there. Right there, those are the vertexes. Okay, so this next one, we've got 2 transformations. So the 4 is inside the bracket, so that means it's going to be left or right. Okay, and because it's positive in there, and there's a plus in there, it means it's going to go to the left 4. Then we've got a +2, so it's going to go up 2. So our vertex in this case is going to be -4 because it goes to the left, and then 2 because it goes up. Okay, so our vertex is going to be right there. And then we just plot our other points. And I will show you some tricks on how to quickly do those other points in a future lesson. But for now, you can just keep going back to that initial. It always helps to start with your drawing your x squared. But anyway, so there's your y equals x plus 4 squared plus 2. Okay, and there we go. So, the last page, which gives you 4 more, I want you to try on your own, and we will take them up at the beginning of our next class. So until next time, go Sabres!